It's a 4-3 ball game. The Yankees leading. And Rich Gedman of the Red Sox is at bat. One man on, one man out, bottom of the third. One of those moments when all of us get excited about baseball. Whether or not Gedman gets a hit is going to depend on all sorts of factors. How well he's seeing the ball today, whether the pitcher's fastball is working. The split-second motion of bat and ball to a point of contact. Unfathomable things. No one knows. None of us spectators, not even Gedman, whether the next pitch is going to blow right by him or be hit out of the park. But while we can't say what this pitch will bring, we do know with remarkable certainty what the odds are on Gedman's getting a hit. Gedman's batting .268 this season. 26.8% of the time that he's been at bat, he's gotten a hit. Well, so his average just slipped a little bit.
Every play in every game is unique. Every individual action or reaction is unpredictable. Yet managers and coaches are always making tiny adjustments, trying to gain an edge. How can they find a strategy if every play is unique? Well, there are, after all, 162 games and thousands of plays in a baseball season. Situation by situation and player by player, patterns do emerge from such enormous numbers. Identifying patterns amid large amounts of data is the special province of statistics. And the language of statistics is numbers.
Well, numbers may grab you or they may not, but there's no denying that they can be useful. Now, just how useful depends on how accurate they are and how far we can predict with them. How to collect accurate numbers, how to describe things in ways that we can work with, and how to draw conclusions and make predictions or inferences. Those are the things that we're going to be looking into.
For example, we'll find out how statistics can be helpful in the testing of new medical treatments. We'll also see how statistics is invaluable in ensuring that the products and services we buy have high quality and reliability. And we'll take a trip to a place where the science of statistics has a very direct role in making money. Lots of it. Where again, the outcome of any one event is unpredictable, but where the outcome of many such events is very predictable indeed. Numbers are everywhere. A car that gets 29 miles per gallon.
And now tonight's Money Matters.
The monthly rise or fall of economic indicators like the inflation rate.
Last month, and the government revised its numbers.
Reports that 98% of households in the United States have television sets. And the average household watches television for 7 hours and 2 minutes per day.
Pointed towards a recession. On Wall Street, the Dow Jones Industrial Average.
And some numbers become immortalized. Right here in Fenway Park in 1941, Ted Williams hit .406, a batting average that's never been surpassed. Baseball fans thrive on statistics. Up in the press box, the player statistics are updated after every play. The player statistics are also available to the fans. That's done from this control room, and they're shown on the big electronic scoreboard over there. This man is responsible for recording the plays and then generating all those stats. Red Sox statistician Dick Bresciani. I talked with Dick before the game.
Baseball fans do have a love affair with statistics. There's absolutely no doubt about it, and I think it's the greatest statistic game that there is, probably because baseball goes back in this country so far, and it's so embedded into most of the populace, and they really understand what a home run and an RBI and a batting average and an earned run average, all those basic statistics that have been with baseball for all of its history have never changed, the concept of them. So people know it and they love it.
For Dick Bresciani, collecting the numbers is pretty straightforward. He's got exact data on 25 people, every member of the team. His job is to keep track of it and to organize it into a form we can all have access to. But what if we want to know something about the 25,000 people here in the stadium, or the almost 250 million people in the whole country? What if we wanted to know something as basic to our country's economy, for instance, as how many people have jobs?
how do we find out something like the national unemployment rate? The most accurate way, like Dick Bresciani's, would be to know what each one of us is doing at any one time. But that's obviously impractical. So what statisticians do when they want to get figures on a population that's too large to count individually, that could be cars or TV sets or people, is that they take a sample of that population and they analyze them.
What if I take the people right here as my sample?
I'm taking an employment survey. Do you mind if I ask you a few questions?
No, I'm not really interested, sorry.
Excuse me, I'm taking a survey. Do you have a job? Okay. Excuse me, taking a survey. Are you working?
Pardon?
Are you working?
Yes.
Excuse me, I'm taking an employment survey. I wonder if I could ask you a couple of questions.
No, I don't think so.
Excuse me, I'm taking an unemployment survey. Do you currently have a job?
Oh, yeah.
No, I don't. No.
Yeah.
How about you?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No.
No.
Are you currently working?
Yes.
And you?
Yeah.
What a survey. Mind if I asked you a couple of questions? Could you tell me if you currently have a job?
Ooh. What?
Currently have a job.
You looking for a job?
Well, by this point, I was getting pretty discouraged. And I was worried that approaching only safe, respectable-looking people was biasing my sample. So I decided to try another tack.
Could you do me a favor? I'm having a real hard time asking people whether they're employed or not. No one's talking to me. Could you ask the crowd, maybe?
Just ask him how
Just ask them how many people, show of hands, how many people have got a job, how many people are unemployed.
How many of you people are here at Faneuil Hall? Oh, it's got another question. No, they get harder. How many of you people here have a job? We here at Faneuil Hall are doing a brief exit poll.
Well,
How many people
I got a
are
number,
without work?
but what does it mean? Is it a decent snapshot of the national unemployment rate? Probably not. After all, I'm in a city whose economy is doing quite well right now.
What's more, this is a pretty popular tourist attraction. So what with one thing and another, the people who are passing by here are hardly representative of the population as a whole. Meanwhile, you've probably noticed that I'm not doing all that well getting a cross-section of the people who are here. Some people aren't being very cooperative.
Not really. No,
Then there's another problem. Just how many people do I have to ask before I can be reasonably confident that the percentage of unemployed people I'm getting means anything? And when I do get a figure, how do I express my confidence in it? I think that this is about right, sort of.
It's all of these problems of correctly choosing a sample, eliminating the biases of the person taking the survey, deciding on the sample size, and being precise about the meaning of the data. It's all of these things that the science of statistics is designed to solve. And to see how it is done, for the unemployment statistics, we've come here to Washington, to the Bureau of Labor Statistics.
The Bureau wants to make sure that the sample it uses isn't biased by personal choice, the way my little survey was. Instead, 60,000 households from across the country are chosen by impersonal chance with the help of a Census Bureau computer program. Using chance guarantees a truly random sample, which means that every household has an equal shot at being chosen. Interviewers are sent out each month to conduct the household employment survey. They ask standardized questions using the same form in each home. That's another way to avoid bias.
Right. How many hours did you work last week at all jobs?
35.
Did you lose any time or take any time off last week for any reason, such as illness, holiday, or slack work?
No.
Now, Jeannie, I have some questions for you.
Responses from these monthly surveys are tabulated at the BLS. The large sample size, 60,000 households, enables the Bureau to produce an unemployment estimate which reliably reflects the national rate. In fact, the BLS calculates that its figure is within 0.2% of the number it would get if interviewers visited every household. The latest figures are reported each month to the Joint Economic Committee by the Commissioner of Labor Statistics, Janet Norwood.
The August data show a moderation in the pace of the labor market improvement that we've experienced for more than a year and a half. Gains in payroll employment, as measured in the business survey, were small. and unemployment in August was unchanged from July. Mr. Chairman, my colleagues and I would be glad to try to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much, Dr. Norwood.
The size of the sample, the kind of sample, and the manner in which it is drawn is in large part determined by what it is you're trying to measure. You have to first understand and have a very good understanding of what it is you're trying to measure. You've got to define that concept with great care, and then you have to go out and figure out exactly the best way to develop the sample. You want to have a certain amount of accuracy. You've also got only a certain amount of money available, and so there's a cost-benefit that kind of comes into play.
Statistical precision at the BLS is not just a theoretical concern. A lot of their findings have highly political implications. For example, the employment rate after most recessions since World War II has not returned to its pre-recession level. The unemployment rate, therefore, has been on a long-term upward trend. Minority group and youth unemployment rates are both higher than the national average. Black teenagers have the hardest time finding work. People who attend college, even for just 1 year, are only half as likely to be unemployed as people who drop out of high school. All of these facts have been established through data collected for the Bureau of Labor Statistics. The Bureau is an independent agency not influenced by political party. This gives their statistics added credibility.
I happen to believe that a statistical agency can only be a good one if it is completely open and it tells everybody what it does, how it does it. That means sometimes you get criticized, but that's okay. We have to be willing to stand up for that, and we have from time to time. But I think it is now generally accepted that the Bureau is a professional place, and that anyone who wanted to try to get us to change the way we do things and make it a more political kind of atmosphere would just not get anywhere.
Dr. Norwood is on guard against political bias in the way BLS data are interpreted. And as we've seen, the techniques our agency uses are designed to prevent bias in the way the statistics are gathered. Bias is the bane of the science of statistics. Mathematicians go to great lengths to ensure that chance and not personal choice determines the selection of a sample or event to be measured. Watch what happens here at the home of Dr. Robert Buxbaum every morning.
The pills come in a nice little packet. There are 31 of them, one for each day of the month, in which there are 31 days. And it's very simple to look in the morning and open your medicine chest, take out the packet, and take one of the pills. It's that simple.
Over 20,000 physicians across the country are also taking pills like these. Just what's in these special pills? I asked Dr. Buxbaum.
I really don't know. I mean, I know what the options are, what the choices are. I have a very good idea because that's spelled out in the study design, but I don't know whether I'm on a placebo, which is nothing, or whether I'm on aspirin or whether I'm on beta-carotene.
One of these pills contains aspirin. The other is a placebo. It looks and tastes exactly the same, but it actually contains no aspirin at all. If Dr. Buxbaum knew which one he was taking, he'd probably be prejudiced in judging the effects of these pills on his health. The pills are designed so he can't tell. In fact, whether he gets genuine aspirin or a placebo is determined by chance. But why is he taking these pills in the first place? It's all part of the Physician's Health Study, which is being directed by Dr. Charles Hennekens and Dr. Julie Buring.
Well, the goals of this study are really twofold. First, to determine whether regular consumption of low-dose aspirin will reduce the risk of death from cardiovascular disease. And second, whether administration of beta-carotene, a vegetable form of vitamin A, will reduce the incidence of cancer development.
Because it's an intervention study, it has a feature that's very different than any kind of other epidemiologic study. We, the investigators, are determining which participant will receive aspirin or its placebo, and which participant will receive beta-carotene and its placebo. Okay. The question is, how do we make those allocations? We want to do it in a way that isn't influenced by our judgment or by any factors either in the participants or in us. So we do it by a method that's called randomization.
Each physician in the study was randomly assigned a number between 1 and 4. This number and this number alone determines what group the doctor is assigned to, and therefore what medications he receives. Randomizing those assignments means that all the other factors that might be involved in vascular disease or cancer, such as diet or smoking, are evenly distributed among the groups. If the outcomes differ, the results can then be confidently attributed to the effects of the drugs. You'll notice that unlike the unemployment survey, this study depends on people doing what the statistician tells them to do. In fact, it's not a survey. It's an experiment, with all that that implies.
We thought that physicians would be an ideal population in which to do this study. They would be able to really understand both the risks and the benefits of being in this treatment, understand the informed consent, the information that we give them in terms of what will be required of them and what will be the possible benefits and the possible risks of being in these treatment groups.
You have to remember that doctors are motivated around issues of health, and taking a pill, which is a bit of a commitment, but not a dangerous thing to do as far as I'm concerned in this situation, becomes a routine. So I guess I've thought about it as a routine for a couple of years, and I don't give it much more thought than that. But I'm very interested in the whole subject, and I think that as a clinical trial, it has all kinds of innovative thinking behind it, and I really am I'm pleased personally to be a part of it.
Dr. Buxbaum and his 20,000 colleagues in the Physicians' Health Study are an essential part of this possible breakthrough in decreasing the rate of cancer and heart disease, two of the major killers in the United States today. The second essential part is painstaking statistical method, from the use of chance in determining who gets which pills to the careful analysis of the results and their implications. Social policy, health, two of the ways in which statistics affects our lives. But we also feel the impact of statistics in direct ways. When you bring home a product or sign up for a service, you expect it to work the way it's advertised. So does the manufacturer. And statistics is one of the keys to how this is done. Have you ever wanted to get inside your refrigerator and see if that little light really goes off when you shut the door? What about the dial tone on your telephone? Is it always there, even when the phone's sitting on the hook? Well, the answer's no. There's a special device in the phone company office that detects when you pick up the receiver. That device is what they're manufacturing here at the AT&T Oklahoma City Works. Thanks. It's one of the circuits on this board, part of the entire phone switching system that they build here. Statistics plays a big role in every step in the manufacturing process, from ordering the parts to testing the final product. Even the movements of these robots is determined by a precise, computer-controlled plan.
The primary function of the IC receiving shop is to get high-quality ICs into the storeroom. We receive in over 1.5 million ICs per week, and in order to maintain a high level of quality at the minimum cost, we use an average outgoing quality level sampling plan.
In the same way that the Bureau of Labor Statistics uses random sampling to measure unemployment, AT&T uses statistical sampling procedures. That way, these machines only insert integrated circuits, or ICs, that meet AT&T's quality specifications. Just the right number of parts reach each point on the assembly line just in time. That's the responsibility of the Inventory Control Department.
These component parts are very expensive, so when we do our ordering, we want to make sure that we order enough parts to build our systems, but not too many parts that they're going to be sitting on the shelves.
AT&T determines how many parts to order through a combination of statistical techniques. The key numbers are sales projections and the delivery rates of their suppliers. And the robots have a just-in-time scheme of their own. When they're running out of power, they pull into the robot parking lot and recharge themselves. printed circuit boards come from the automatic insertion machines to this assembly line, where specialized ICs are installed. These chips customize the boards for different applications. By sampling the work of each operator and recording the data on these process control charts, AT&T decides where additional training or revised procedures might improve productivity. In fact, at every step of the production process throughout this entire plant, samples are chosen for close inspection. The results are plotted on quality control charts, and statistical methods help decide if the process needs adjusting.
If we looked at 100% of the product, it would take more time, more people, and would not give us any better information about the process. There was a time when industry thought that a quality control department's function was to inspect quality at the end of the line. Now we know that the only reasonable philosophy is to build it right the first time. I've been told that unless you measure how you're doing as you go along, you'll never know if you're done or if you succeeded. That's why I think that statistics and people are such an important combination. Statistics is the tool that tells us how we're doing as we go along, and people are the force that drives us till we've succeeded.
This is a completed telephone switching system. How does AT&T know it can do the job? By running it through the ultimate quality control test, handling thousands of simulated telephone calls. And what determines the volume of traffic to use? Statistics, a survey of telephone usage in the specific company office where this system will be installed.
This entire plant is organized for one purpose: to make reliable telephone equipment in a cost-effective way. But it really doesn't matter whether you're manufacturing circuits or circus tents. You still have to ask the same kind of questions. How do you stock the right inventory when orders change? How much should you produce next week or next year? How do you schedule jobs when people work at different rates? These questions all deal with events that happen randomly over time, even down to how long people spend on their coffee breaks. But when there are enough processes and enough people involved, statistics allows us to paint a picture that is surprisingly precise.
This tendency for random events to form very clear and predictable patterns is one of the fundamental concepts in the science of statistics. All it takes is enough repetitions. The patterns only emerge in the long run. For it is a remarkable fact that the aggregate result of many thousands of random events can be known with near certainty, even though each individual outcome is entirely unpredictable.
This roulette wheel has 38 slots, 36 red and black numbers, and the green 0 and double 0. Of course, the game also allows for blocks of numbers or even simple bets on red and black. Here's how it works for betting on a single number, say 9. Every time the ball's put in play, every number's got a 1 in 38 chance of coming up a winner. Now, the house pays off on odds of 35 to 1 for hitting a single number.
So if you bet $1 on 9 and 9 comes up, you win and the house pays you $35. There are 38 possible bets. If you want to play roulette without taking any chances, all you have to do is cover the whole table. Then, no matter what number comes up, you win. But think about it. You lose on 37 bets, and the house rakes in $37 of your money. So even though you get your $35 payoff, you still lose $2 overall. It may seem like only a small tilt of the odds in the house's favor, but for the casino at least, the beauty of statistics is that we can measure those long-term patterns precisely and set the odds accordingly. In the long run, then, the casino is bound to win. All the games here work the same way. In the short term, how well you do is really a matter of luck. I could stand here at the craps table, shoot the dice a few times, and maybe walk away a few dollars ahead. I could stay for a while and leave a few dollars poorer. If you know how to count cards, you might do better at the blackjack tables. But when you're depending on luck, one thing is certain. If you play round after round for days on end, you'll lose. That's because the odds of all the games here are arranged with the same goal in mind. Out of every dollar that crosses the cashier's window, at least 5 cents stays behind. A lot of people think that casinos have to be crooked to make money, that they have to use loaded dice or weighted roulette wheels, or somehow fix the slot machines. But in fact, a casino is one of the surest businesses you can be in. There's just one requirement for turning an honest profit. Keep the crowds pouring in, eager to place their bets. Statistics will take care of the rest.
In the serious business of life, health and employment, the quality and the reliability of the technology that we depend upon every day, and the strategy of games that we like to watch, like baseball, games maybe we wish we'd only watched. In all of these things, statistics is something to tell us.
But statistics is a science, and so its scope extends beyond the range of human affairs. Wherever large numbers are a fundamental part of the story, repetition gives rise to patterns. Patterns that we can discern only by applying mathematical methods to carefully chosen samples. Wherever chance operates freely, statistical techniques can help us to find underlying order and to formulate reliable rules. From measuring the stars that make up the universe, to detecting the tiniest constituents that make up all matter, to tracking the combinations of molecules that make up us. Whenever we want to make estimates and predictions,
Statistics is becoming the mathematical framework for describing and analyzing nature. So the same science that helps us to understand the world that we've built and to promote our own welfare is helping us to understand the wider world all around us.